Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome to NSA Podcast with Nick, Sean, and Austin, where we talk about the Chicago Bulls around the NBA and all topics worth discussing. So it's another episode. Let's dive right in, man. Chicago Bulls just played. Who did they play, guys?
They they played the Golden State Warriors. Um, I mean, really impressive win by the Chicago Bulls. They just been all over the place. Happy to see they got the W. But it's just been, crazy how they go on a 3-game winning streak and a 3-game losing streak. Then they got a national televised game, and then they just get their act together. So it's just that's how the season's been. Austin, what have you taken away from this past week with the Bulls? Warriors win. I mean, the Bulls win against the Warriors. What do you take it from that?
Oh, this week I feel like the Bulls. It's a piggyback off of our take last week around Zach LaVine stepping up, but we forgot about Vooch.
Yeah,
He has to step up too. And yes, I mean, was that yesterday? Yeah, I mean, what day is that? Sunday that we recording. So yeah, he showed that he's able to step up too, depending on how the matchup is. So of course the Warriors are a bit undersized, so you can tell the Bulls' game plan was to get Vooch going.
Yeah.
30 shots, 30 plus shots. So
Yeah, he shot the ball quite a bit. This is the most aggressive that I've seen Vooch in the 2 years that we've had him on our roster. I mean, he's had some really good games here and there. He's had average games for the most part. And he's been a double-double machine for the Bulls this season. But this particular game, the man went off of 43 points and 13 rebounds. So now that he's accomplished the 40-point feat, we got three top players, our top three players, who have all went past 40 or more this season, yet we are having trouble with, consistency. So the talent is there. It's just the mindset of bringing it every night is what's been the issue with the Chicago Bulls roster. But he shot the ball 10 threes. I mean, he shot 10 threes.
31 shots.
Yeah, 10 threes, which I usually am not a fan of at all because normally, like, we don't win when he shoot that many threes. But he went 50% from three. So I think that he was hot and they was feeding him and he was more engaged. And he's that kind of player. He's not the kind of player that I've noticed that is going to be engaged regardless of his touches. He's the kind of player that's going to be engaged based on his touches. And that's the thing with Vooch, unfortunately. That's the thing. I mean, everybody got an Achilles heel in terms of how a player is. Some players have an attitude in certain instances if they don't get X, Y, and Z. But for him, it's not necessarily attitude, but it's his energy level. It drops, you take a precipitous drop when he's not necessarily as engaged like he was in his Golden State Warriors game. And obviously, we're playing without DeRozan, so it was an impressive win. And it's just a lot I want to say about this part. I mean, I feel like the Bulls don't have an identity. They play different styles based on the matchup, which is good in terms of being versatile, but they don't have an identity. Like when you look at the Golden State Warriors, even though they lost this game, they play the exact same way, regardless of Curry's in the game or not. It's just a matter of Curry just he extends it out more because he's just an exceptional shooter along with Clay and all of them. But they're gonna play the same way, regardless if those guys are not there or not. It's just they're not gonna be as successful. But the thing with the Bulls, they need to create a real identity because even in the Boston game that we lost, they go into the half court sets, and then what happens is when DeRozan went down, and he went out the game, their pace of play picked up, and then they carried that over to the next game. Although we lost those games, their pace of play was just a little bit different than it normally was with DeRozan in the game. So I just feel like they got to find a common medium, and they're still struggling. That's how I look at it right now.
It's surprising to see Golden State with 23 turnovers in that game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the ball game. I mean, when you look about it, I mean, I got to give Bulls credit. I saw Derrick Jones Jr. getting out to the passing lanes, and, he was running a break. We started the game really strong, which is very uncharacteristic of this Bulls team all season. Typically, we like slow starters, or we kind of like, real like low vibrational in terms of like how the game is going. And then towards the fourth quarter, we try to like pick it up and We in a dog fight, in terms of 1 or 2 possession games with a team, just because we couldn't sustain energy in the first quarter, or we couldn't really like keep up the energy we developed in the first half into the second half. So that's what I've noticed with the Bulls. And we're just, it's so funny because it's just like we just now at this point we know like we're about over 40 games of the season. You just kind of know like this is the team that they are. I mean, they're currently sitting in the 10th seed, and this is not good.
Do you think they could snap out of it, or is no snapping?
I'm leaning more towards the 60-40. 60% of me feels like no, and then 40% feels like yes. I'm always gonna try to remain somewhat hopeful, but they got too far in the season, and at this point, I feel like this is who they are. I feel like the only team that really can ride that wave like that, and hell, they might not win the championship this year, is Golden State. But they've earned the right to do that because they are a championship level team. I mean, get them in the playoffs and everybody's healthy, we'll see what happens. Our team hasn't proved that yet, but we come out as if we've earned something, and that's what I've taken away from these games. Like when they see the top teams, they're ready to go. When they see the mid to lower level teams, they just think it's just another game. And they don't play with that urgency that they want to like take their opponent out. They don't have any killers on their team. They got talented guys on their team. And that mindset has to change if we go make it to like first round or second round, which is what we want to see.
So we don't have any killers on our team?
That's what I was gonna say.
Killers.
You don't think DeRozan is a killer?
No, when I mean by real killer, I'm talking more than just scoring. I'm talking about like having that energy where you just demand excellence in the locker room. Like you have to,
intangible.
Exactly. It's an intangible thing. Like when you played, and I hate to do this because it sounds like everybody should be this level, but it's clearly like a reason why these guys are Hall of Famers, right? Let's take Kobe Bryant, for example. Like when you on a guy like that team or a guy like LeBron team, even though this team is struggling, career-wise though, when you on those guys' teams, like you just know, like, dude, I can't be helter-skelter. I have to play a level every night. I should demand that for myself, but also my teammates going to demand that from me. And it's just that energy. It's like a combination of our top talent and our coach. They seem very passive, and I just don't like that. Standpoint that they seem so passive and how they approach games. And this is the real test. How they gonna come out to Detroit next game? They play Detroit on Thursday. On the 19th of January. And I just feel like they're going to, part of me feel like they're going to come out completely different than how they played against Golden State. And that's the thing. Like good teams, they play consistently the same way every night, regardless if they lose or not. Like Milwaukee's going to play how they play against Boston is how they're going to play against Detroit. That's how they're going to play against Houston. Giannis is going to be Giannis every game. And that's the thing with the Bulls is that they struggle with that even to this time. So I'm happy they won, but it's just a microcosm to what their real issue is, that they can't get focused every night. They have a focus issue.
I feel like they play like they have an excuse to lose because they don't have their full team packed. That's kind of how they playing. Like, oh, we don't have our full team, so if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Oh,
yeah. And the thing too is they coming off a 3-game losing streak when they saw Golden State. So they were like, look, we can't make it 4. But that we can't make it 4. They should have been like, we can't lose, we can't make it 2.
It's like the regular season way of getting swept. You can't lose 4 games straight.
Exactly. So they do this thing where like they got to be pushed to the brink of looking embarrassed. Then they're like, oh, we got to play. I'm like, yeah, you guys should have been knowing that. Should have been playing all along.
So what's the difference between this year and last year?
This year and last year, that's a great question. Last year, we didn't beat any of the top teams. We beat all the teams we were supposed to beat. And we were going on 8-9 game winning streaks because of that. And then when we saw Boston or if we saw Milwaukee, we were losing those games. But we knew this is a newly formed team. We're not going to beat those teams just overnight. I mean, unless you get the top talent, the top 2% talent in the league and put them all on one team like the Miami Heat did with, Wade and LeBron and stuff like that, or Boston and Ray Allen, all of them back in the day. If you do stuff like that, then that's the only way you make a 360 change from one season to the next in 1 year. But we knew that we were not going to beat those teams, but we were riding on longer winning streaks because we were beating our opponents we were supposed to beat. But this year, we lose to who we not supposed to lose to, and then we win to all the top teams. It's the opposite. It's the complete opposite of last year. So we just can't find that focus on the bad teams. That's the problem.
Question for both of y'all. Do y'all think the Bulls will get 40+ wins this season?
I think they can.
They got 38
wins.
games left.
They can get 40 wins. I mean, they got 20 wins for the season. They can get 20 more wins. Now, if they finish the season, I just don't know. I mean,
They will be what is that?
If they get 40 wins, it's 20 more, so that would make them.
That would be 40 and 42. That's terrible. Well, it's not terrible, but it's like that's not good enough.
Below
you
average.
know what that record remind me of? The Ben Gordon, the Ben Gordon, Kurt Heinrich days before we got Derrick Rose. Our record was like 500. We was like an 8th seeded team. We weren't expected to do much. We didn't have a star, but this time we got all stars on our team. And although those are two different eras of basketball, it's like when you got this kind of talent, 3 guys getting 40 in different games throughout the season. I mean, not too many teams in the league got 3 guys that got 40 this season. At least 2 of them, each on those top teams got guys that have done that. The Jaylen Browns and the, Jason Tatums, yeah, they did that. You know what I'm saying? Harden or the Joel Embiid, yeah, they did that. But the Bulls got this talent where they got 3 guys that are capable of getting 30 to 40. And this is where they at right now. So that's the problem.
They have to string along some wins and win streaks, man. Hopefully they can get around 45 to 50 wins, but that's stretching it, I feel like.
Yeah. With this team, you can't make no bets, man. It's just, you can't make no bets. I mean, I'm happy, like I keep saying, happy that they won last, the win against Golden State. But I'm just wondering what game is going to be the springboard to turn it around.
But
what game is going to be that?
According to this season, they were supposed to win that game because Warriors are terrible out on the road, right? So,
they are.
So it's like, yeah, you still win the games you're supposed to win because the Warriors are 4-17 away.
Exactly. But here's the funny thing, though. The Warriors, as bad as they are, they still in the playoff seed right now. The Warriors are 8th seed in the Western Conference, and I'm pretty sure the Nuggets wouldn't want to see the Warriors. I mean, even with that.
Even if the Bulls are in the West, they wouldn't be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think the record is a testament, though. Like, you got 30 wins before the half of the season. You got a good handle on your team. Like, that's a good team.
Yeah, the Nuggets.
In a 4-game series, they got, all right, we got to win 4.
One of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, last week we put a lot of stock in the Warriors, but it ain't really looking good for them either.
I think the Warriors don't really have anything to worry about.
I mean, I get both of y'all points. I mean, the Warriors are the defending champions. They got some things that they messed up on with letting go of people like Gary Payton, but my focus isn't on them, right? I know that when it really comes down, the lights get bright, they'll be ready. I don't know about our team. I don't know about the Bulls. I just feel like they have not done enough to play like Golden State is playing right now.
So what does it mean that they beat the good team?
It just means that they just focus. Like they know how to play basketball. They just don't. They lack focus.
So what could that mean going into the playoffs or the play-in?
Well, in a situation like that, because they losing games they shouldn't lose, they would obviously put themselves in a playoff situation where they could be in a 1-game elimination kind of thing, right? And overall, our team this season also has not been doing well when they go to overtime. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or when they go down to deep, close games. Like last year was a level of euphoria where DeRozan was hitting game-winning shots, and we was just like, wow, this is amazing. It's a great feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Those same looks are given, but not all of them. Like most of the time, it's not going in our way this year, with the exception of DeRozan in the game-winning shot against New York, in New York. And then you just also look at like the way the games are going now, right? Like even when DeRozan hit that game-winning shot, so much had to happen for New York to screw up on for DeRozan to be in that situation, and then they still didn't double team. instead of double team. So you just expect, like, New York, as I said before, like, they just shot themselves in the foot like that, like they did against Dallas, like weeks after that loss to us. But the Bulls, they're winning games sometimes off of other people's mistakes. Like, they're not commanding in winning games.
Like all the turnovers go to say, yeah.
Exactly. Like you feel like if
I
Golden
mean, but
State
that could be good defense.
that's true. It could be that. It could be a lot of things, but they're not giving us the vibe that they are commanding wins. They trying to take over.
They're like a wild card team.
They very much are. They very much are.
50-50.
Yeah.
Don't know what you might get.
But you see, Zach LaVine, he had 27 that game. The game before that, where they played Oklahoma City, and Josh Giddey and all of them was, playing pretty well against us. That particular game, Zach was just gunning the ball up. I mean, the last 6-7 minutes of the game, he wasn't even passing. I mean, every possession was like he coming up, high pick and roll, high screen. I'm trying to get fouled. I'm shooting a three. And it's just the energy was so low, right? And it was almost like they was just like waiting to see Golden State. And that's the energy that I felt like. They had 2 home games back to back, and the energy in the building didn't feel like this is a game we want to win. It was like, well, we're just waiting to see Golden State because we know they'll be in town in a couple of days. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like they look ahead to matchups too sometimes. They look ahead to something else instead of dealing with what's right in front of them. And that's my issue with them as of right now. But you just try to remain hopeful as a Bulls fan and try to say, like, can you guys turn this around? Because you got all the talent. You got enough talent. But should not be in a play-in situation with this kind of talent we have.
All right. So on another note, getting into LeBron James, and I forgot his middle name, but it was something funny last week. About
Raymond
or something like that. I'm pretty sure nobody in the world knew that.
Razor Ramon.
I'm pretty sure people did know that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, majority of people. But so he's gonna be getting the all-time scoring leader. Position himself above Kareem pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Speculations on the days of people trying to add the numbers up. Some people say that it might be against the Milwaukee Bucks. If that happens, man, I'm gonna be like, man, what the hell is going on? Be. But yeah. So how do you guys feel about that? Like, what does it really mean? Does it mean anything? As far as LeBron and his legacy for the NBA, like, just thoughts.
It does mean something. I mean, the record has not been broken. And I mean, Kareem made the record, if I can recall, probably like 1988, 1987, something like that. Point is, I mean, he became the leading scorer at that point. He obviously piled more into that because Kareem didn't retire officially till 1989. But it does mean something. It does mean something for LeBron, too, in general. And it does mean something for the NBA. I mean, this is one of the longest records standing. So, yeah, it's going to be impressive. It's going to be a nice little cap in LeBron's, a nice little addition to his legacy. But, I mean, it just depends on what are we asking. Like, if it's like comparison to something, or it's either GOAT or whatever case would be, you know how people take these conversations. That's when, it's a different conversation. What is y'all?
Are you surprised that he's going to be the number one guy on that list?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think it's been a lot of narrative flip with, like, him being labeled pass first. I find that to be very funny. The reason why I do is because his career field goal attempt average is higher than Kevin Durant's. That means on average he shoots the ball more than him, and he actually has a higher field goal attempt average than Kobe Bryant as well. So, but these are things the NBA or the narratives don't tell you that. Like, I also feel like he's been in a system that's been around him the entire time he's been in the league. And he deservedly, he deserves that.
Since day one.
He's never played in a system where it's like, all right, we're running these sets. This is what we want to do. Every system that he's been in has been like Russell Westbrook when Kevin Durant left him, where it was like in Oklahoma City. That's what I'm talking about in more particular detail. Where it's like the offense is like him getting the points, him getting the rebounds, him getting assists. When he stepped off the court, the team suffers because they never put in other situations. So and then it actually adds to his legacy where it's like, wow, like, you guys suck without him, but it's not really the fact that they suck without him. It's that it's lack of preparation, because real coaches, they design for, like, other people on the team. Like, for example, like, I mean, you always expand what I'm trying to say is, like, you build around your talent instead of you having like a system and then try to make the talent fit in. Right. So we all get that. I mean, that's what smart coaches do. However, they always have other options that they utilize as well, like with Greg Popovich and stuff like that. So case in point, like a Tim Duncan, he played 19 years, right? But his stats aren't going to be always sexy because the teams was not built for him to always take all the shots or him take all the rebounds or him get all the assists.
David Robinson was there before him.
Exactly. And even after David Robinson left, they do gradual transition over to the next player, like, Tony Parker or Manu Ginobili. Like, these are other guys that was getting Kawhi Leonard, exactly. So they was like sharing the spotlight more. Whereas LeBron, every situation he's been in, it's been about him, right? And then him, like, making it about him, right? I also feel like that also hurt him in situations of, like, winning more championships. Because when you go against teams that have, like, more of a team built or like chemistry, it's kind of harder for you to get the most out of the guys because it's like, I just need you to catch and shoot. I just need you to, like, drop off when I give you this pass, get this bucket. And, obviously he's on the receiving end of that on a stat standpoint. But I think he's still, like, I mean, with all this being considered, he's still one of the greatest players of all time. I'm not saying it to, like, lower him in any kind of way in that regard, but it is, I don't believe that the narratives where they say, oh, he's a pass first. I think he's a willing passer, but he's a score first player. That's what I think. I think that's what.
So I know a lot of people talk about the longevity of LeBron James, but looking at the stats, he'll damn near play less games and get more points than Kareem. So I want you guys to speak to that because it's always a narrative that, oh, he's been such a longevity. He's never got hurt. He's able to play. Like, what about that stat line? Less games played, more points, most points.
Yeah, less games played because
compared to Kareem.
Yeah, compared
right,
to
exactly.
Kareem.
That's because Kareem did 4 years of college. Kareem back in those days, like, other than Moses Malone, guys weren't coming straight from the high school to the pros.
So he would have had even more games played.
Yeah, so, like, LeBron came in the league at 18, and ever since he been in the league,
right,
the whole offense has been structured around him, right? Then Kareem goes and plays with another guy that's on his level with Magic Johnson. And they did, like I said, with San Antonio, a gradual transition where he was still playing, but the offense wasn't geared around him as much anymore. Early when the Lakers was playing with Magic and Kareem, the offense was get a ball to Kareem, right? But then as it got towards the latter part of the 80s, they started to just, like, use Magic as more of the number one option and then use Kareem as that, secondary option. So, like, it's been a pantheon of bigs that did this, that were winning or didn't win, or later on, they just took lesser roles. So, like, David Robinson, like you talked about earlier, Tim Duncan did it later, Kareem did it later. So, like, they would, like, the latter part of their careers, and they, like, 38, 39, they were getting 14 points a game, 13 points a game because the offense, the coaches and everything, like, decided, listen, we're going to make this about the other star. We got another star on our team now, and we're going to make it about that. So
you think this is more so LeBron at this point in his career, it's not about him winning championships, it's about him getting the all-time scoring record?
No, I wouldn't say just that. I think it's inevitable he was going to get it if he's always on the court. He's playing 20 years, right? He averaged 25 points, 27 points a game on career average. So, like, let's take Karl Malone, for example, right? Karl Malone never got a scoring title his entire career, like, ever. He never led the league in scoring, not one time in his entire 19-year career. Right?
Probably because of Mike.
Right. But he did average 24, 25 a game for 18 years, and he was never hurt. He didn't start getting hurt until he started playing with the Lakers. So because when you start compiling all those stats up, you're gonna look up, the man is number 2 all time. I mean, there's guys that's got 20,000 career scores who just stayed around a long time, but they career average. Now this is different for LeBron because his career average is still phenomenal. But there's guys that's like in that less tier, 20,000 career, and you wouldn't expect them to be in that, but they are in that because they was in the league 17, 18 years.
Karl Malone could have got a scoring title. Probably if it wasn't for Mike though, because he was having like 27 a couple times.
Yeah, he could have got a scoring title.
I mean, I don't know who else is in that.
Ain't no excuse because Mike took a break. He could have got a scoring title when Mike retired the first time. Low key.
He had a drop off though.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is that the all-time scoring record is impressive, but it doesn't tell the whole nuance of the stories. It doesn't do that. I mean, even for Kareem, I mean, when Kareem got it, I mean, nobody after like in the early 90s, I don't think anybody was talking about like how they want to get this record and stuff like that. I don't think it was just that much of a conversation about it. But they also know Kareem, I think he led the league in scoring 4 times or 3 times. So, Wilt Chamberlain led the league in scoring 7 times. Jordan led the league in scoring 10 times, and that's the highest one out there. Iverson led the league, and Kevin Durant both led the league in scoring 4 times. George Gervin 4 times. So, I mean, it just really depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if how do y'all feel about everything? I feel like I've said what I need to say about it.
I feel like what it means, it just means that I feel like LeBron had a very picture perfect NBA career.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it's like it's easy to give him the best player to ever play because it just seems fitting. He came in the league, he was the guy. He never stopped being the guy. He always did well, pretty much, in that role. And he even kind of like overcame like the doubters, as far as like not being able to close games over his career, not being able to shoot. So I think he did a very good job, and it's easy to say that he's the best player. But as far as, and I don't know if he's the best player, but as far as him getting the all-time scoring list, it's just like it just fits his career because he had a pretty fortunate career, and it's like it makes sense for that to happen. Even talking about the high school thing, like if he didn't just go straight to the league from high school, he might not even got a chance to be the number one.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do it. So I got to give him credit because, it's hard to become all-time leading scorer. I mean, that's a lot of points. Right now, currently, I think he's about 400 points away. I know he's going to pass that in the next, like you said. But it would be funny, like you said earlier, Sean, if he ends up passing that in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's gonna be like some.
Now you're gonna start thinking like, come on, and for all those who don't pay attention, like the nuances, Kareem initially played for Milwaukee. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks, so it's just kind of like eerie if he passes in Milwaukee.
LeBron
I'm gonna say it now, like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, LeBron, he probably got like a spreadsheet or some shit like that calculates how many points.
Bro, it's probably
each game.
that spreadsheet probably given to him.
Right. Like, hey, LeBron,
this is how it's gonna go down.
Right. All you need to do is score this many points against these teams. Type.
Speaking, now we on the topic of the Lakers. I know, we talking about LeBron. What was up with that game last night? Did y'all see Russell last night?
No.
So, Russell, man, they played Philadelphia. Russ, man,
what's wrong with him?
That last play, Laker fans are so upset right now.
What did he do?
Listen, the game, they gotta stop, right? They down by 1 point. LeBron don't call for the ball. Russell just come up the court. He fumbling with the ball. He got Joel Embiid guarding him. And then out of nowhere, he drives to the left of the lane, and it looked like it could have been a foul. Like when you freeze frame it, like like Joel probably like touched him a little bit. Point is, Russ drove to the lane out of control, looking like he trying to throw a cross court pass. The ball bounced off the backboard, and then the game was over. And then LeBron literally just walks off the court. He was too upset, and I can't even blame LeBron for that one. Like in that instance, but in the instance, why he ain't just come get the ball? I would have just got the ball if I was him. I was LeBron. You know how Russ is, man. You know what Russ about. kind of plays that. It's just Russ, man.
And the game is
One thing
over.
about Russ, man, he always gonna be Russ. Like this is him.
That boy
He
hit
been
the
doing
rail.
this. He been doing this since he came in the league.
This nigga slid and hit the stanchion and shit.
He
Right over there.
can't stop himself from this foolishness. He can't do it. It's like almost like he just stopped thinking, man. People was like, what was he thinking? And my answer to that is he wasn't. He wasn't thinking. He just be out there, and there's no rhyme or reason.
He should have gave the ball LeBron.
He should have gave the ball to LeBron. But I didn't know what LeBron was thinking. He just literally didn't even come to the ball. I would have ran over to that far left, like,
fumbling with
give me
the
the
ball.
ball. Give me the ball now.
Man,
He tried to pass it to the corner.
But the thing is once he in the air like that,
Yeah.
and it's like 2 seconds on the shot clock, dude, just shoot it.
They had 2 timeouts left.
That's another alarming thing. Like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying every player got to be high IQ, but there's an expectation you have when you are been in the league 9, 10, 11, 12 years. Like, I'm not understanding how do you make those kind of decisions? Like, because even Zach LaVine do stuff like that. Like, not to that level, but a version of that.
Hey,
Do
man.
stuff like that. Like, just where were you thinking? Like, let's talk about, I know this is like old to sports content, but early this week when we started off losing, the 3-game losing streak,
Mm-hmm.
after we lost to Boston, when we saw Washington and we needed a 3 to win. And what did Zach do? Zach literally tried to take a 2-pointer because we need a 3 to tie the game. I'm sorry. He had just tied the game, but then he tried to, I guess he didn't see that they didn't give him enough room, so he took an extra step and went inside the 3-point line, right? And then he's taking a 2, and then when you freeze frame it, he had Caruso wide open, and Vooch, he could have just passed to him, or he could have just shot the 3. So I just, you just wonder, like, what goes in the mind of these players and what's said in the timeouts.
Sometimes they just don't think.
That's what I believe it is too. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's for players to be on that next level, the IQ and the talent got to all match up. They all got to do that, for you to be the very best version of yourself. But
So, Austin, does it mean anything to you, or how do you see it that LeBron is going to get this number 1 position?
I think it's great to see it, like, in your lifetime, like the record get passed up. Like, that's pretty much where I put it at. You know what I'm saying? I recognize LeBron as a once in a lifetime talent, and you gotta factor in, like, the amount of rebounds and assists this dude has a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, as well as the points. So, I mean, it's an argument that he can be considered the best to ever do it. But like Nick said, it's a lot of nuances. Like, if you really watch basketball, it's a lot of nuances to, like, make that debatable.
right, the thing about it though is that some people, when you bring up nuances, you label a hater. Like, are you a hater? Like, no, it's not a hater. I just don't dismiss certain things.
I'm noticing.
I'm not going to dismiss everything. I'm going to acknowledge the good. I'm also going to acknowledge the stuff that ain't so good. Or I'm just going to tell you all the nuances, like that, for example. Like, prime example, Kobe Bryant is higher on the scoring list than Allen Iverson, but he don't have as many scoring titles as Allen Iverson.
Well, okay, let's
that's
unpack
another thing.
that.
That's
What
what
does
I'm
that
talking
what does that mean? Like, for all the like all the like just generalists out there.
Mhm.
Break that down. Like, what does that mean to you?
To me, the scoring titles,
Yeah, when you say, "Oh, Kobe Bryant is higher on the scoring list," but Allen Iverson has more scoring titles.
what it means is that, like, prime example, we can't put too much emphasis on scoring, like all-time scoring records, when a lot of these guys play in the same era as each other, because then they could tell you season by season who really was the dominant scorers, right? But like I said, when we talk about being fortunate, having your health, not getting blackballed out the league, like i.e. Allen Iverson, like, all of these other factors off the court can affect your totals, right? Not even just excluding just injuries, right? Because they both had injuries. I mean, Kobe clearly got injured. And that's just another example. Like, when we talk about this whole narrative of, like, the scoring and the all-time scoring record, right? And let's say LeBron versus the Jordans, right, of the world. That same way that we're talking about this can be applied towards the Kobe and Allen Iverson, right? Like, obviously, everybody gonna say Kobe is better than Allen Iverson, right? However, when we talk about greatest scorers ever played the game, Kobe's name is gonna be part of, deservedly so. I'm not saying it shouldn't, but if you look at it like, okay, he played 4 to 5 more seasons than this other guy, right? Iverson was pretty much done by 2009, right? And then, Kobe, even though he was hurt a lot, he still played 5 or 6 more years on average. So he retired officially in 2016. And I mean,
and Kobe came out of high school.
Kobe came out of high school, so.
I don't know how many years Allen Iverson did in college though.
Well,
like
they both have an advantage. So like, let's say I know because I just brought this up. So Allen Iverson came in the league and he was already the number one option. Kobe wasn't. Kobe had to work for it. Kobe had to come off the bench, stuff like that. Even though he was in the league at an earlier age than Iverson, he didn't get the benefits of like a LeBron would have, where at 18 I'm already like, gonna get unlimited touches and unlimited mistakes if I make them. And I'm on a team that ain't going nowhere, right? Kobe was already on a winning or a team that was trying to like make deep playoff runs. So that's that, right? But then you also got the factor of, okay, Allen Iverson, he didn't get a chance to play as long as he could have.
Yeah, Kobe played 400 games more.
Exactly. So, I mean, you start thinking about that. And then, I mean, you could use this example for a lot of players when you compare them and then all-time scoring of like what really happened. Like Tim Duncan, like we talked about him earlier. Tim Duncan is 16th on the all-time list, right? When we really think about it, like, he could be higher than that. He could have been higher than that. Like, I mean, if they said, Tim, who is clearly our best player, let's just go ahead and, ride you in terms of the scoring as much as possible. But they had a different system, and it wasn't designed for him to always get the ball like that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. But this is not a slight towards LeBron. I mean, I feel like it's just like, I don't use it as the end-all, be-all is what I'm trying to say. I don't use it as the end-all, be-all, but I think it's a one hell of a feat, though.
I got a question. Do y'all think when it's all said and done, Kevin Durant will be top 3 in scoring?
I don't know. I think to me, he's already top 3 in scoring in terms of like greatest scores of all time. That's how I look at it. Because my list goes by Jordan, Kobe, and Kevin Durant. That's how I look at the greatest scores of all time. Because the way I look at it is all based on ability, like no tendencies, like able to do certain things on the court. So I don't really have big man in my top. I really don't.
Yeah, I say that because if it depends on his scoring. Like if Kevin Durant, continue to average 30 for the next couple seasons, that'll be tough. But he might be able to get that number 1 spot. Like LeBron would
300 more, 400 more games.
Right, LeBron will like get it this year, and then 4 or 5, maybe 6 years from now, Kevin Durant probably gonna be knocking on that door too. So.
Yeah, it is crazy though. Like he literally is top 15 in scoring with under 1,000 games played.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
5 more seasons.
Right.
If he's healthy, he could.
Right, he'd be right there. Low key.
He'd be right there.
So that's like the bigger picture. Like when you really break the numbers down and you can see who's currently
he
playing.
would be right there. I mean, I don't know.
He'd be around 30, 37, 36,000 points.
Yeah, because it was like 25 times like 80.
26,000 career points right now. So, and then, you probably going to finish the season with at least 27,000. Real close to that. You're going to pick up another 400 before the season is over. Because he'll be back in a month.
15. Just say like he get like 1,700 points for the next 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm. That's doable.
Times 5 plus what do you have?
20, probably 27 by the end of this season.
Mm.
I'll put it like this: if he wanted to, he probably could. Like get that.
He probably could. I mean, 4-time scoring champion, and yeah, I mean.
So if he gets like 1,700 points for the next 5 years, and he adds that to what he has now, he have like 35,000 points.
Yeah, he'll be top. He'll be right around Karl Malone.
Yeah, it's this week, as it always comes up too, where we talk about the certified bucket getters, the top performers of the week. So pretty impressive list here that we got. But obviously some names that y'all expect. So kicking things off, we got Donovan Mitchell. I mean, he been killing the league this season. His homecoming back to Utah. He put up 46 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. But they lost. But it was a valiant effort by him, and Utah obviously had focus on Donovan his first time coming back and wanted to prove something to him, like you shouldn't have left us, probably. Then Jaylen Brown, he comes in at 41-12 against the Pelicans. Impressive win for Boston, but it's Boston. They're a top seeded team, and what Pelicans are doing their thing this season as well. But that was a really good performance by Jaylen Brown. Then we got Jordan Clarkson. He's been hooping. Pretty good. He averaging for the season about 21 a game. He's picked it up the last 3 or 4 games. We averaging about, I think, if I can remember correctly, I think he's averaging around like 26, 27 in the last 3 to 4 games. But he got 38 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists versus Philadelphia in a loss. And then we got Joel Embiid, who put up 35 and 11 against the Lakers just yesterday from the time this podcast was shot. That game that we just referenced earlier where Russ had a terrible mistake down the stretch. But Joel Embiid finished with 35-11, and he's actually, right up there in terms of scorers, top scorers in the league this season. Then we got Shy. I haven't heard that name in weeks, but it's not because he hasn't been performing well. It's just other guys been putting up even gaudier numbers with 60 points with Luka Doncic, all this stuff like that. But Shy, he put up 37, 8-6 versus Philadelphia, and that was right before they saw our Bulls and beat our Bulls. But, he's been able to, keep them in, competitive nature, competitive games against top-seeded teams, throughout the league. So, yeah, 37, 8-6, he'll definitely for sure be an all-star this season. And then we got Luka Doncic. I know y'all heard that name like damn near every week. Put up a 35-point triple-double against the Lakers on Thursday. Right now it's Monday on MLK Day of the time that we're shooting this podcast right now. Luka Doncic put up 35 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists versus the Lakers. For whatever reason, I don't even know why they didn't double team him. Boston has proved that you have to double team him and then make his other guys beat him. He's an exceptional shooter, but he got exceptional shooters on his team. But it was plays that Lakers just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, do you guys want to win this game? Because they was giving him one-on-one coverage, when it was like trying to tie the game. So that didn't make sense.
And that man played 53 minutes.
Yeah, this dude, killing the league.
Killing the league.
For real, man. 34-8-8 for the season. I'm sorry, 34-9-8 for the season. Then for the top performance of the week, certified bucket getters goes to none other than Nikola Vucevic. This is a first time a Bulls player top performance for the season. Who would have thunk it?
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thunk it that the top performance would go to Nikola Vucevic? Not Zach, not DeRozan, but it go to Nikola. Put up 43 points and 13 rebounds versus the Golden State Warriors in a win, and that is why he got the top one. Because Donovan got a 46-point game, but they came in a loss. So when you put up these high performance games and a win, that definitely gets you that spot. So top certified bucket getter,
Yes,
Nikola Vooch.
Salute that man.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Unreal. But I'm happy he performed the way he did, but it just goes to show you that we have the talent, we just lack the mindset and on a game-to-game basis. So we'll be looking to see what they do against Detroit and how they're going to bounce back on a non-televised game and to see how that looks, for all those Bulls fans out there. I know they're looking for consistency as well and get frustrated looking at this Bulls team. But going into the next couple games, the Bulls are playing the Pistons, then they play the Hawks, then they play the Pacers. They should win these games. But we'll see what happens.
Sounds like I heard this before.
Yeah, exactly. They should win these games, but we'll see what happens. So,
what is it going to take? Bulls.
Man, Bulls should win 7 games straight. Pistons, Hawks, Pacers,
but
Hornets.
what you're saying requires discipline. that requires real discipline. Like guys have to get up every game and say, "Look, this is a must-win game." Every game has to be treated like Game 7. Every game. If you want to pull yourself out of this 10th seed hole, every game has to be a Game 7 energy.
Yeah, they should be gunning for 30 wins for the rest of the season. Then all these teams like the Hornets, Magic, Pacers. I know the Pacers playing pretty good this year, but the Clippers, come on, man, like let's just beat these teams, bro. Like just beat them.
Yeah. But the problem with them, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of things that I can assess. I mean, I didn't give enough criticism as I could have. Like, it was games prior to the Golden State win where it was like lack of paying attention to personnel and detail, right? Like, as much as we love like Andre Drummond, right? It was like the man picked up 4 fouls in the Washington game. He picked up 4 fouls in the first half.
Let's not talk about that game, man.
It just
Kyle
upset
Kuzma gaming us,
and not noticing that he want to go to his right shoulder. He want to go to his right shoulder, and he's right-handed player. It's like not looking at game film and paying attention to stuff like that. Like they just allowing stuff to happen and just hoping for the best. And I'm like, no, you have to. You guys are professionals.
Prepare. Yeah, you got to prepare for your matchup. Like, know they tendencies, know they hot spots, know what they like, what they don't like.
Exactly.
There's a level of detail you got to have. Like, it's like a Kobe Jordan mindset, bro. You know, every single move, you got their whole Rolodex in your brain because the night before you looking at all this stuff.
Exactly. And it's easier said than done, but just
Definitely,
lack of focus, right? So it was plays even in the Washington game, not to keep harping on it, but I'm going to keep harping on it. It was plays against, where Andre ran out on guys that weren't good shooters. He just ran out because they did a slight pump fake, right? But it was like, if you looked at the career percentages or for the season, these guys shooting 27, 28% from 3. They're not good shooters. But they would sell the idea and he would bait into it. And usually he's been really good at that this season. Just that particular game, him and Derrick Jones Jr. were not paying attention at all. And then it caused Vooch to come back in the game sooner, and the rest is history after that. But we just got to be better at knowing who we playing against, knowing their tendencies, and trying to examine their tendencies and make them focus on their weaknesses. That's what we have to do. We got to make people uncomfortable out there. I know it's hard to do in today's game where they don't like to preach defense, but we have to find a way to, shorten what they want to do down a little bit more. We have to focus on that more. And then the rebounding has to get better. The actual rebounding, the second chance opportunities that we give up, we have to limit that as well. So ultimately, we wanted to go to say Warriors game because Vooch played well. Zach didn't play good in terms of field goal percentage, but he stayed aggressive, put up 27 points. And then, we got some really good help on all of our rotational players with Derrick Jones Jr., Caruso, and our turnovers were very low for the game. 10 turnovers for the game. That was really impressive, but you just ask yourself, can they duplicate this? Can they do this again? So
big shout out to Dalen Terry. He played 1 minute and scored 2 points, 1 for 1. I feel like that's, for a rookie, man, that's, that's a dream, man. Get out there, get some PT time and putting the ball in the basket. Like, a big shout out.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that, shout out to Dalen Terry for that too, man, because he is in the Bulls' doghouse right now, man. I mean, he'll have games where he play on the Bulls, and then early that day, he's playing in the G League, so he's going through it, but he's always staying in high spirits, and, his attitude is really positive.
Yep.
And, I just hope that they give him more minutes so he can really show what he can do out there.
Right. He a first round pick, 18th. Like, that's not nothing to sleep on, man. There's not many players that get drafted. So I just wish, the Bulls have a history of not developing their young talent,
Yeah.
Especially with Lonzo Ball being out, get this man some more minutes, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like with the Bulls, they got to have talent that come off the page and bite them on the nose, like Mr. Henderson used to say back in the day. They got to have like that type of talent in order for them to know, oh man, we got to start developing this guy. No shit. They do stuff like that, and you just hope that they don't do that with him. But I would like to see him get more minutes. I feel like his energy is good too. because he's so focused on wanting to get playing time and being a good teammate that can really pass off well for our teammates out there who are been established veterans out there. Just wanting to always, do the right thing, make the next pass. Like he's probably looking at game film probably more than some of our starters are. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is.
Let's keep it a buck. I know Goran Dragic is eating up most of those minutes because he's a guard, right?
Yes,
small forward. He's a
guard. Yeah.
So I mean, like, if he can handle the ball, like, put him out there.
Yeah.
It's not like y'all winning games anyway. So it's like,
yeah,
get him out there sometime.
Yeah. I mean, the Bulls is one of the deepest teams in terms of like who they use, like, in terms of rotational pieces. We use basically everybody but the kitchen sink. But Dalen Terry, they don't give him enough minutes. So we would love to see him get more minutes out there.
Well, guys, in closing, NSA Sports Podcast, NSA Bulls Podcast. How can I forget? Please like, share, subscribe to all our content on Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
Look forward to putting more episodes out here. So it's always go Bulls. Hopefully we can get it together next couple of days, weeks, so we can make the playoffs, because we haven't even talked realistically, like, how do we realistically feel about the Bulls making the playoffs? So
yeah.
but yeah, thank you for watching.